Hi, it's Mr. Wassman, and we are once again looking at problems from our end of the year study guide. This is a survey of all the concepts we learned throughout our fourth grade year together in math. So let's take a look at 11A. There are 6 parts to problem 11. We're going to jump right in. Write 4/10 as a decimal and as a fraction. Now the decimal would require a decimal point. So I'm going to have an amount or some digits to the left of the decimal point, and then I would have some digits to the right of the decimal point. 4/10 written as a fraction would have an amount on the bottom, that's a denominator, and an amount on top, that would be the numerator. Now how would I write 4/10 as a fraction? Well, 4/10, just as it sounds, I would put a 4 on the top and 10 on the bottom. The 10 on the bottom represents 10/10, okay? And I only have 4 of them. That's why I have 4/10. Now, if I have 4/10 of a dollar, that's like saying I have 4 dimes. So I would represent that like so, 0.4. So now I have my decimal version and my fractional version. Now, problem 11b gives you a different fraction, this one right here, and if I say it aloud, you'll hear the words. And I don't want to do that because you're supposed to come up with a word version of what this fraction up here represents. But you would have to then also show me the decimal version, which again would involve an amount to the left of the decimal point and an amount to the right. And notice how much longer I drew that line to the right of that decimal point. That's your hint. Okay? So now what you would have to do is create a number sentence that uses less than, equal, or greater than to compare the two decimal amounts in problems 11A and B. So we know that 11A is 0.4. So the question is 0.4 less than, equal to, or greater than the amount from 11B, which you are going to figure out yourself. So what is that amount, and which one is bigger, or are they the same? You then have to explain how you know. Then you would have to add the fractions from problem 11A and 11B and then show your work. Now I'll set up the problem because we know what both fractions are. In 11A the fraction is 4/10, and in 11B it's 4/100. Now you cannot add two fractions together with unlike denominator. What's an unlike denominator? That is when the two bottom numbers do not match. You cannot add these two numbers together and get like 44/110ths. It doesn't work that way. So you have to add like denominator fractions together. So you would have to figure out how to convert one of the denominators to the other. Now you probably already see it. There's a relationship between 10 and 100. Okay, how would I make tenths into hundredths? What would I have to do to both the bottom number and the top number for 4/10 to make it the equivalent of hundredths? Okay, so 4/10 and 4/100ths. What might be helpful is if you use this grid first to show what 4/10 and 4/100ths would look like. Okay, so right here we have 100 squares, or 100 hundredths. Each little box is 1/100th, like so. Now then, if I were to fill up 10 of these boxes, like so, that would give me 10/100ths. Okay, so this amount right here that I've just shaded in yellow, this is represented as 10 hundredths. But another way of thinking about this amount would be 1/10, because as you see, there are 10 columns along the top of this giant square. So if I have 10 tenths up and down, that would be the same as one column, or one rod of 10. Okay, a rod of 10 hundredths would give me 1/10. Okay, so my question to you is, if I had 4 tenths and then 4 more hundredths alongside with that, how would that be represented as a picture? Okay, either draw it out or print off a copy of this study guide and then fill it in to find your answer. Okay, we will continue on with problems number 12 and beyond in future tutorials. Until then, keep on trucking. Thanks.